Jefferson County Court of Law number 2 is back in session. The court is in session. And cause number M328-800, case of South State of Texas versus Marco Antonio Flores. Mr. Flores, is that your full name?
Yes.
Mr. Flores, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Flores, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes.
Mr. Flores, you may put your hand down. How are you doing, Mr. Flores? I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking, Mr. Flores. You're represented in your case by your attorney, Attorney Don Boudreaux. Attorney Boudreaux, how are you doing?
Just fine, sir.
That's good. The state is represented in this case by Attorney Erica Porter. Attorney Porter, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Your Honor. Thank you.
That's good. Now, Mr. Boudreaux, do you waive a record
Yes, sir.
in Ms. Flores case? Now, Mr. Flores, I have before me a document that is titled Information. This information was filed by the Jefferson County District Attorney's Office. In this information, it alleges that you, Marco Antonio Flores, on or about December 27 of 2020, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed the Class A misdemeanor offense of criminal trespassing. Mr. Flores, do you understand what you have been charged with?
Yes, sir.
And to this charge, Mr. Flores, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest? Huh?
Guilty.
No.
Okay, I see here you have no contest. On the paperwork, it says no contest. Now, you pleading no contest? Now, you pleading no contest freely and voluntarily?
Yes, sir.
And are you pleading no contest because you do not wish to fight or contest the charges? All right, now, Mr. Flores, I also have before me a document that is titled Misdemeanor Plea Admonishment, is also labeled as State's Exhibit Number 1. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
On page 2 of this same document, there are a set of initials, MF, on a line next to a box that's checked no contingent, which means no contest. Did you place your initials on this document? On page 3 of this same document, there's a signature above the line that is titled Defendant. Is this your signature? And on the next document that's titled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal, do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled Defendant? At the top of this document, there are 2 boxes that's checked. The first box that's checked states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. You understand that? Okay, the first box that's checked states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that? The second box that's checked states that you are waiving your right to an appeal, which means you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that statement?
Yes.
You have the discoveries
Yeah.
certification. I also have before me a document that is titled Discovery Certification. Do you recognize this document? And is this your signature on the line that's titled Defendant? Mr. Flores, before you sign and initial all of these documents that I just showed you, did your attorney, Mr. Boudreaux, go over these documents with you? And did you read and understand everything that Mr. Boudreaux went over? And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge? Mr. Flores, are you a citizen of the United States?
Yes.
State, I have before me State's Exhibit Number 1, the misdemeanor plea admonishment. State, would you like to offer State's Exhibit Number 1?
Yes, sir.
Any objections?
No, sir.
Okay, no objections. State's Exhibit Number 1 will be admitted. Now, Mr. Boudreaux, you've advised and counseled Mr. Flores. Is there any evidence that he is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, sir.
And Mr. Flores, your attorney, Mr. Boudreaux, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes,
Has he provided fully effective and competent legal representation? Mr. Flores, I will accept your plea of no contest. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. And I will also find that your plea and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. And I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
Yes, we do, Judge.
And what is that agreement?
Okay, in exchange for the defendant's plea of guilty or no contest, the state is willing to offer 12 months deferred, $500 bond, 60 hours community service, court costs, and abide by any conditions of probation.
Okay, Mr. Flores, the state is offering that you serve 12 months on deferred adjudicated probation. During this 12-month probationary period, you'll be required to pay a fine of $500 plus court costs of $337. You will also be required to pay a probation fee of $60 each month, a urinalysis fee of $15 each month, and a reimbursement fee of $15. Your total monthly installments, that is the total amount that you will be required to pay each month while you are on probation, is $159 a month. Mr. Flores, will you be able to pay the $159 each month? You'll also be required to perform 60 hours of community service, and you will be required to adhere to the other standard terms and condition of your probation. Mr. Flores, do you understand the state's offer? Do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
Yes.
And do you accept the state's offer? Mr. Flores, I'll follow the plea bargain agreement that you have entered into with the state. Mr. Flores, if you successfully complete this probationary period, this case will be dismissed. It would not result in a conviction on your record, and you may qualify for non-disclosure. You can talk to your attorney, Mr. Boudreaux, about the non-disclosure because he's quite competent in those matters. Mr. Flores, you're gonna stand on the X. Let's see. Yeah, Mr. Flores, you're gonna stand on the X next to your attorney, follow the directions of our clerk. Once you finish following her directions, you'll be free to go and you have a blessed day. Okay, and Mr. Boudreaux, you'll be free to go as well and you have a blessed day. You're welcome. Now, Mr. This is, the court is back in session at cause number M 328-800, case of style, state of Texas versus Marco Antonio Flores. Now, Mr. Flores, the court, earlier stated that the state was offering 1 year deferred adjudicated probation. During that probationary period, you'll be required to pay a fine of $250 plus court costs of $337, a probation fee of $60 each month, a urinalysis fee of $15 each month, and a reimbursement fee of $15. Now, your attorney was appointed. You will also be required to reimburse this Jefferson County court-appointed attorney's fees of $250. Now, your total monthly installments will be $182 a month. Will you be able to pay the $182 a month? Okay, that's what the court wanted to tell you. And that you understand, you also be performing 60 hours of community service, and you also adhere to the other standard terms and condition of this probation. Is that correct? All right. Now, court is going to follow this. Now, do you understand the state's offer? Do you understand the state's offer? Do you accept the state's offer? Okay, I'll follow the plea bargain agreement that you have entered into with the state. All right, this will conclude your case. You're free to go and you have a blessed day. All right. Okay. The court is back in session in two cases, cause numbers M 328-110 and cause number M 328-112. Both cases are styled the state of Texas versus John J. Henry. Mr. Henry, in cause number 328-110, previously entered a plea of guilty. He was sworn in.
I'm sorry, before you proceed, do you mind if I pull in the back and just kind of explain to him what's changing here?
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, give me just
Okay, Jefferson County Court at law number 2 is back in session. The court is in session in 2 cases, cause number M328-110 and cause number M328-112. Both cases filed the state of Texas versus John J. Henry. John J. Henry is present
Judge, would you mind
before the
taking-
court. And Mr. Henry previously appeared in court, and Mr. Henry was sworn in. Mr. Henry pled guilty on both of these cases. Mr. Henry acknowledged that his signatures and initials was on State's Exhibit number 1, the misdemeanor plea admonishment in both cases. He also acknowledged that his signature was on the discovery certification. And he also acknowledged that his signature was on the trial court certification to defendant's right of appeal. He also acknowledged that he recognized those documents and everything in those documents was true and correct to the best of his knowledge. Mr. Henry stated that he acknowledged that his attorney, Mr. Brevin Jackson, advised and counseled him, and that he was satisfied with his representation, and that Mr. Jackson provided full, effective, and competent legal representation in both cases. Mr. Henry also acknowledged that he was a citizen of the United States. Mr. Jackson, who is Mr. Henry's attorney, waived the record in this case, and Mr. Jackson acknowledged that Mr. Henry was mentally competent to stand trial. Now, the court has previously, just a few minutes ago, assessed punishment in this case. The court is going to reopen the punishment phase of both of these cases. And in cause number M321110, State had offered 5 days to be served in Jefferson County Jail. Mr. Henry was given credit for the 4 days that he has already served. And the court cost in that case is $327. And Mr. Henry was asked whether or not he can pay the $327. Mr. Henry acknowledged that he could. And so the court went on with the case. Now, Mr. Brevin Jackson and Mr. Henry is back in court. Mr. Jackson, I'm going to ask your client again because you informed the court that he didn't understand, I guess, he didn't understand the question, or he found out when he went downstairs that he couldn't pay it because those fees had to be paid today. Now, Mr. Henry, the court cost in cause number M328110 is $327. Mr. Henry, will you be able to pay the $327 court cost today?
No, sir.
Okay, now, Mr. Henry, I have before me a document that is titled Affidavit of Indigence. This document has your name on it. And now, Mr. Jackson, could you show this to your client? See if he recognizes.
Do you remember filling this out?
Just ask him if, good.
Do you recognize this document?
Yeah.
Okay, did you sign this document?
Yeah.
And is this information still accurate?
Yeah.
Your income?
Well, yeah.
Okay, so is everything on this document true? Okay, just raise your right hand. Would you, Mr. Henry, do you swear and affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes,
You may put your hand down. Now, Mr. Henry, you recognize this document, is that correct?
yes, sir.
And on page 2 of this document, there is a signature above the line that is titled Defendant's Signature. Is this your signature?
Yes, sir.
Now, is everything on this document still true and correct today?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Mr. Henry, based on your statements, the court is going to find that you are indigent. The court previously found that you were indigent, and based on the finding of indigence, the court cost in this case of $327 will be waived pursuant to Article 42.15 of the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure. That simply means that you will not be required to pay the court costs because the court has found that you are indigent. Do you understand?
Yes,
All right. And, okay. Now, in the second case, the court cost is $337. And based on the finding, well, in the second case, which is cause number M328112, the state offered that Mr. Henry served 5 days in the Jefferson County Jail. He was given credit for 4 days that he has already served. And the court cost in this case was $337. And so based on the finding of indigency in the previous case, Mr. Henry is also found to be indigent in this case. And based on that finding, the court cost of $337 will be waived pursuant to Article 42.15 of the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure, because Mr. Henry has been found to be indigent by the court. So, Mr. Henry, you will not be required to pay the $337 in this case as well. Do you understand that?
sir.
You will not be required to pay the $337 because it's being waived.
Yes, sir.
You understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right. So in that case, in both cases, the court costs will be waived. And Mr. Henry, you're gonna have a seat in the courtroom because our clerk has to
Amend the judgment.
change the judgment. Okay. All right.
She'll give you a copy of it.
Right. Just have a seat.
Thank you, Judge, and I apologize to the.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so we got to get his
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mr. Cabrera, this is cause number M 332-902. Case is style of state of Texas versus Fernando Cabrera. Mr. Cabrera, is that your full name?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Cabrera, I see here that your case was initially reset for you to hire an attorney. And you've had a couple of resets to give you an opportunity to hire your attorney. Have you hired your attorney?
Sir.
Why haven't you hired your attorney?
I've been out of work and I've started the job this week.
How long have you been out of work? 3 weeks.
Yes, sir.
Okay, but you've had since September of 2022 to hire an attorney. Okay? So you've been working, I guess, throughout that period of time, and so
But I had a lot of health issues.
your father had a lot of health issues? Okay,
Two surgeries that we had to pay out of pocket, and with family. And have promotion going on as well. Been able to hire on that.
okay, well, we're gonna give you a last reset. Okay? You're not gonna give you another reset beyond that to hire your attorney. Okay, just give him a reset to hire his attorney. I'm gonna put on that final reset to hire.
Yes, sir. You can have it.
And we hope that your father had a speedy recovery in his health challenges. All right, just have a seat. She's gonna call your name. Make this everybody. Okay. Should be the last one. Let's see, Mr. Love. Okay, Mr. Love, you appeared in court May 23rd, 2023. That time, you signed a judge's explanation of rights to defense without an attorney. You initially line that stated you wanted to reset your case to hire an attorney. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, have you hired your attorney?
No.
Why haven't you hired your attorney?
After I had my first court date, I had started working, and then I just recently, a couple weeks ago, stopped working, and then I'm in the middle of moving in the next couple weeks, and so I haven't had the job to help put forth the.
So you say you don't have the income to hire an attorney?
Yes, sir.
Now, back in May when on this document that I'm looking at, judge's explanation of rights to defendants without attorney, the document that you initially signed, it states that you have 3 options regarding your right to have an attorney. Number 1, you may hire an attorney. Number 2, if you do not have enough money to hire an attorney, you may request an attorney be appointed to represent you. Or number 3, you may represent yourself. That is, give up your right to have an attorney and represent yourself. Now, if you do not have enough income, you can request that an attorney be appointed to represent you, and then we'll see whether or not you qualify for the appointment of a court-appointed attorney. Would you like to do that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Bailiff, we need to give Mr. Love hold on a minute. fill out that document that's titled Affidavit of Indigence. You could have a seat at that table right there and fill it out. If you need any help, we have court personnel here who will be happy to help you or assist you.
Sure.
Yes.
Can you
This is cause number 32 CCCR. Let me strike that. This is cause number 23 CCCR 0026. Case is filed, the state of Texas versus Mark D. Love. Mr. Love, is that your full name?
Yes.
Mr. Love, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Love, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes.
Mr. Love, you may put your hand down. He needs to, well, he had that check. He was supposed to put his initials. Okay, Mr. Love, I have before me two documents. First document is titled Judge's Explanation of Rights to Defendants Without Attorney. You recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And let's see, did I swear you in?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and the signature on the line that's titled Defendant, is this your signature?
Mhm.
The initials on the line that state I want to apply for court appointed counsel, are these your initials?
Yes, sir.
I also have a document here that's titled Jefferson County Affidavit of Indians. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature on page 2 above the line that's titled Defendant Signature?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Love, before you signed and initial these documents, did you read the documents?
Yes, sir.
Did you understand what you read? Is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Now, Mr. Love, based on your answers, you meet the eligibility requirements for the appointment of a court-appointed attorney. The attorney that's appointed to represent you in this case is Attorney Charles Rojas. Attorney Rojas will be given information about how to contact you, and you will also be given information about how to contact Mr. Rojas.
Yes, sir.
Our court coordinator is going to give you that information. Once you get that information from our court coordinator, you'll be free to go. Thanks for being patient with us, and you have a blessed day. Please stand, have a seat. Thank you. Please have a seat.
Yes, sir.